Hi everyone, so this is going to be my quick little review of the Netflix movie Uglies. So, in case you missed it, Netflix recently released this new movie called Uglies, which is based off of a YA dystopian novel of the same name from 2005. So, before I even start talking about the actual movie, I do want to say that I found it really interesting that Netflix just recently released this movie, considering the book is from 2005 and the YA dystopian genre was really big like 10 years ago. And I feel like we're way past the peak of its popularity. And I just find it really interesting that this is being released now. In addition to that, I definitely do think that this movie suffers from that. Like, I would say the biggest thing that I can say about this movie is that it just very much just feels like a very generic YA dystopian movie. Like, there's really nothing too unique about it, and I feel like it's been done so much better in the past. And I do feel like if this movie was released during that big craze, I honestly don't think it would have been that successful then either, just because it is just so generic. But that is really my biggest criticism of it is it's just very average. I personally wouldn't say that there was anything that particularly like appealed to me or like stood out to me. It very much felt like Divergent, but just like a less exciting version, I suppose. Because another aspect of it is that I just felt like there weren't really that many stakes, and it just felt very like by the numbers, like, we have to rebel against this, big power and whatever, and, we're building our little team and we're rebelling and what the society stands for, we're going to go against everything of it. And I do think like the words that they use for some of these things were just made me laugh, like the film itself, like Uglies, that just made me laugh because I'm like, what is this, like a middle school bully? Because basically, the whole concept of the film is that, of course, this is a dystopian society in which the world we know now is gone, and this is a new society in which the world is divided between what is called uglies and the pretties. What that means is that in this society, the big leaders have this mandatory procedure of once you turn 16, you basically go under this, it's basically like plastic surgery, at least that's how they present it in the movie, and you become pretty, quote unquote. And that's like, it's mandatory in this society, and also that's what everybody strives for. So everybody 16 and younger are called uglies because they haven't had this procedure and they're essentially like normal looking, quote unquote. And yeah. So again, that just made me laugh that they're calling these people uglies. That just like, again, like middle school bully. It's very much giving middle school bully. Another thing that just made me really like laugh is when they're comparing the uglies and the pretties. The pretties pretty much just have this like filter on them, like a very generic just Snapchat filter that just smooths out all the wrinkles and all that, and that's really it. And I guess sometimes they change their eye color and hair color, but besides that, I'm like, I really don't see that big of a difference between how they were before and how they were after. I just feel like there could have been a way more creative way to show that. And it's just hilarious to me that these people who are supposed to be uglies are these like hot actors. Like, they're very attractive people, and you're telling me that they're ugly in the society, and then when you're showing me the people who are supposed to be pretty, like there's really not that big of a difference between them. Like, they were really trying to tell us that Joey King is ugly. Like, no. Considering that this is their main concept of their movie and this is what makes them quote unquote different from all the other YA dystopian movies, I just feel like they would have tried to put, or they should have tried to put more effort into being distinguished in that area of like showing that big difference between the two. But because they didn't, it just felt like they were really lazy with it. And because of that, like, there was nothing like unique about it. Like, the villain felt very generic. Like, I was not at all like intimidated. Like, it was not a scary villain to me. It never really felt like the characters were really in that much danger, like, at all. And I definitely also have to criticize the main character is played by Joey King. And Joey King is great. Like, I love Joey King. Like, it's nothing about her acting, it's just the way the character is written was just like, I don't know, like, to me it was very generic, and also it felt like the plot was driving the character versus the character driving the plot, if that makes any sense. Basically, what I mean by that is that it felt like the character was developing and making decisions because the plot needed her to. Because it was time for Tally to do certain things, it was like, oh, now the character wants this. Before, the character wanted this, but now because the plot needs to move forward, she wants something completely different. And I feel like I feel like the Hunger Games does this so well. Well, of course, like, Katniss has to move forward in her journey, but it feels like she's moving forward because she has had these experiences that are changing her, and she's changing, and thus she's making new decisions that are moving the plot along. So in that case, I feel like Katniss really, the character drives the plot, versus in this movie, the plot really drove the character. And besides that, like, honestly, all the other characters, none of them, again, nothing really like resonated with me. Like, nothing was really like stood out too much to me. I will say that the character Shay is probably maybe the biggest standout. Like, again, like, I wish she would have had like more to her. But yeah, so besides that, there really wasn't anything too unique about it. The visuals were very basic, the just everything about it just generic. I will say though, if you like YA dystopian movies, like, I would recommend like giving it a watch, cuz I guess it's entertaining enough, but just don't be expecting anything too like grand or groundbreaking. Like, it's not groundbreaking at all in the genre whatsoever. But it is an entertaining watch. So I'd probably give this movie a 5 out of 10, just because it is, like I said, very average, very generic. So I think a 5 is a perfect score for this. And yeah, so if you are interested in that genre, maybe give it a watch. If not, I probably wouldn't recommend it. And yeah, so thanks for listening to this review.